Hello there. This is the last game in the tournament whose game I'm analyzing, and this was not only the last game in the sense that it was last round, so last game for me, but it lasted so long that this was the last board playing. And you know, this closing ceremony and giving out the rewards and proclamation of the winner and everything is scheduled 5 to 10 minutes after the last game. So you can imagine that everybody was very impatient for this game to end. So again, I had a huge audience in the ending. So just as the introduction to the game, you can see that I lost the game. My opponent was a 15-year-old teenager who is apparently rated 1300, but I think, I witnessed that he's much stronger than his rating would suggest, like all other kids in this tournament. I did have a better position. I had like -6 at one point, so completely winning position, and I managed to mess it up like all the other winning positions I had in this tournament. So let me then show you the game. My opponent opened the game with e4, and again we went to Petrov, to Russian defense. So all the games I played in this tournament as black, I faced e4 and we went into Petrov. So e5, knight to f3, knight to f6 here, and now he played knight to c3. So this is one of the main lines. Before we witnessed this variation, but okay, this is good variation. So now it transposes to the fourth knight. And after he played bishop to b5, sorry, it's one particular variation. I think this is the strongest variation. The fourth knight, now it reminds a little bit of Spanish, of Ruy Lopez. So this is called four knight Italian. If he played this would be called four knight Italian. I'm not sure how this is called, but I call this a Spanish bishop. So four knight plus Spanish bishop. And in response of this move, I usually play this bishop to c5. So this is Italian bishop against Spanish bishop. He castled here, and now again I played the d6, which is passive, because I'm always afraid of this pawn is hanging. So you know, if he removes the defender, then he can maybe take my pawn. He couldn't do this before. For example, here. So if he took, I take. He now cannot take the pawn because this queen is threatening checkmate and just wins the piece. So I know this trick, but I didn't know. I wasn't sure about this trick. Here the point is that I can safely castle, and if he tries to remove the defender and then take the pawn, I can just bring my rook to e8, and now I'm hitting, you know, both knight and the pawn, and I will regain my pawn very easily and end up with a better position. Okay, so but I play this safely. Okay, I mean, this is the last round. I was really tired. I played 8 rounds in 6 days, so you know, I wasn't confident that I could calculate very well. So I wanted to keep this a little bit conservative. Of course, he, being my opponent, being a 15-year-old, probably doesn't have this problem with fatigue like I do. Okay, so he played now d3. He also went for the conservative approach. I played h6 because now he opened the bishop. I didn't want to face this pin, especially since my bishop is locked outside the pawn chain, so it cannot come back to one pin. So this is what I usually do. He played h3. I castled, and now he wanted to activate his pieces, so he played knight to e2, you know, wanting to probably in the Italian fashion, or I mean, this is very similar maneuver in the Italian game, in the Ruy Lopez. It's to remaneuver this knight either in this way or in this way, but anyway, bring it to g3. So these are common plans, which of course he knows, because people rated 1300 know everything today. So I develop my bishop to e6. He played bishop to a4 here, which I find a little bit strange. Why would he do this? Probably he wanted to play, you know, c3 and then put the bishop on c2. These are just common maneuvers in the Italian and the Spanish game. So I wanted to play some moves with the tempo, gain maybe some space, so I played a6, which maybe is not the best move, but I don't see a problem with this move. I'm also giving my bishop an escape square here, because this bishop here can be easily harassed, so I think it's fine. He played c3, yeah, he wanted to do this. I went on playing b5, so gaining some space on the queen side with the tempo, and he went back bishop c2. And okay, now we are both developed, and now it's time to play some chess. So I took some time here to evaluate the position, to see what are the weaknesses, so what plan can I come about, and so on. So after a while, I decided that I want now to strike in the center, because if you look at this position, I am a little bit better developed. My pieces are more active, so my both knights are on the third rank. His knight one is on the second rank, another one is on the third rank, so my knights are better. His bishops are here, my bishops are here, so my bishops also have a better scope. You know, his light square bishop is blocked by his pawns. Both of my bishops have a very nice diagonals. So taking all this into consideration, I decided now it's time to strike in the center and to open the game and to make use of my pieces. So I played d5. And Engine doesn't like this move because there is a refutation if he plays d4 here, which I'm not sure I even considered d4. I considered just briefly. So d4, and then I would have to take it with the e pawn, and now he can just push. I have to bring my knight away. Okay, I can move it forward, but still he can just now take this, and I have to retreat my bishop. So suddenly my bishop is blocked. He has a good control over the center. He has both pawns in the center. I have only one pawn in the center, so it's not so clear. I mean, still, okay, I have this knight which is into his territory, but yeah, it's not so clear. But anyway, after I played this move here, so I played d5, he didn't push this pawn, but he just took back, and now I indeed have a better position. So I take this with the bishop, and now you can see I mean, several threats here. This pawn is pinned. I'm threatening to take this knight and, for example, double his pawns. And yeah, so these kind of things. Now I have some threats. So he played the knight to g3 here. So now if I take the knight, it will not ruin his pawn structure. He can just take back with the queen. So now I'm bringing my queen to the game, so queen to d7, connecting the rooks, which is the goal of development. And also you can see now I'm targeting this pawn as well. So yeah, I am targeting many things here. So he has to do something, and well, he continues his typical Spanish-Italian maneuver, so he plays knight to h4, probably eyeing for this square, f5, guarded by the knight, and also very easily by the bishop if need be. So I brought my bishop back to e6. So first of all, I'm not giving him this square, this f5 square, and also I'm making some threats. So there are some possibilities of sacrificing the bishop, and if he takes, I take with the queen, and then my queen will simultaneously attack both of the knights, and this pawn is pinned, so this knight is unprotected, this knight is unprotected, and this could become an idea. So he played the king h2 to stop this idea, which is not so good move because it's passive. It gives me more initiative. But anyway, he stops everything because now this knight is protected and these both pawns are protected by the king. So here I played bishop to e7. So I wanted to bring my bishop to the game on the other side, and also indirectly attacking this knight, threatening that you know, some discovered attacks. So he retreated his knight. He didn't want to give me these discoveries. And this was again the position which I had to evaluate positionally. And I was thinking, I was checking for the tactical possibilities, you know, pushing this guy, sacrificing here, maybe, you know. But I didn't see any tactical opportunities, so I was thinking, what is my worst place piece here? So I have two rooks which didn't move, so this rook can be useful because maybe in the future I will be doing the f-pawn break. This is one of the breaks I have, targeting in the same time king side and the center. So yeah, this pawn break. So this rook may be useful. So this rook needs improvement. So rook a to d8, and also a lying rook with the queen. Okay, he continued. He wanted to bring his bishop to the game, so he played bishop to e3 here, And now, okay, I did some maneuvering which engine doesn't like, but they all make sense to me. So first of all, I put the queen to c8, because now once my rook is here, I can put my queen here, and now I have some threats already, because now rook is aligned with the queen, and I was thinking that maybe this queen could do a good job on b7, or maybe or even on b6. So the queen from here could also target these diagonals. It could be coordinated with my bishops to do some damage. So he stepped away with the queen. He noticed that it's not good to have the queen aligned with the rook. And now I brought my other rook to the game. I said that this rook was maybe fine here, and maybe it is. Maybe there are some other better moves here. But I saw that this queen doesn't have much squares to go. So I decided to move this rook to the center, and now the rook is aligned with the queen, which many times can give you very interesting tactical opportunities. Even though if there are 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces in between, it's very easy to clear these up. So now he decided to improve his worst place piece, so he played rook a to d1. Okay, and now I was thinking about, okay, again, I think I'm better here. My pieces are more active. So, okay, my bishops are better than his bishops. My knights are more active. I have centralized rooks. His king is a little bit in danger, and so on. So I was thinking how to launch an attack on the king, and at the same time how to open a diagonals, open lines, so that my pieces which are more active can be better utilized. So I was looking what pawn breaks do I have, how can I open the position. And if you look at this position, there is only one pawn break which simultaneously attacks the king and attacks in the center, and this is f5. I already mentioned, so I decided to prepare f5 now. So I played knight to d5, so moving knight forward, improving the knight, also attacking this bishop, and now preparing f5. He played a4 here, and this is a move I'm not sure I understand. I think maybe he wanted me to take the pawn and then activate his bishop, or maybe he in general thought that he could activate this bishop on this diagonal. So this is maybe the reason, or maybe he just wanted to have some counterplay. Maybe he saw that I'm playing in the center and on the king side, so maybe he wanted to create some counterplay on the queen side. But nevertheless, here I just played f5 as I intended. And now, of course, I'm threatening f4, just winning the piece. So he retreated his bishop to c1. And now I was thinking about, okay, how to utilize all this, these diagonals. So maybe I didn't play this the most correctly way, but okay, I did play a bishop to d7. So thinking that if I move the e pawn, I will have some attack here. He decided to take this pawn, so he continues his game on the queen side. I just take back. And now he played rook f to e1. So he also wants to create some counterplay maybe, and he's yeah, I mean there are several reasons why he should be why he made this move. Maybe he wanted to target some of my pieces here, or maybe he just wanted to give some square for the knight, so in order for knight to be improved, or he just he just centralized the rooks, which is always a good thing to do. So anyway, once I moved this f5, now I saw that my knight doesn't do anything here, so I brought the knight back, and yeah, it's closer to the king side, so it will be useful here. I can go on and continue pawn storms. I was considering several kinds of things. And now he played queen to f1. So I guess this is the main reason why he played rook here, to bring the queen here and to help the defense. So obviously he's sensing that something bad will happen on the king side, so he wanted to have the queen to defend it. I played queen to b7. Now, bringing the queen on this diagonal. So now I'm targeting all these three diagonals. I'm still not sure what to do with them, but yeah, it's just piling up the pressure. He brings the king now to g1 because he doesn't want to have this knight pinned once this pawn moves. And now I'm pinning this pawn by queen to b6. Now I'm pinning this pawn, and now this knight is unprotected. And now the threat is just to play, e4, attacking this knight, but also attacking this knight, which is unprotected because this pawn is pinned. So this move makes concrete threat. So he plays knight to h4. Now I cannot attack the knight anymore, and also he's now attacking this f5 square. So here I play knight to e7, defending this f5 square, but also bringing the knight a little bit closer to the king's side. So maybe I can bring my knight closer in the next moves. He played king to h1. Now he's unpinning this pawn. Now this knight is no longer protected, so he's kind of dodging my threats here. And I played queen to c6. So you can see that I'm all the time aligned with the king, and I am making some threats. So threat here is, for example, to play f4, and then I can just take this pawn because this is pinned, so this pawn is unprotected. Also this knight is unprotected, so I can even attack this knight. If this knight moves, I can do this, and so on. So he played knight to f3 here. He came back with the knight, and now he defended against the threat because this pawn is no longer pinned. So if I play f4, this pawn is not hanging. So okay, I took my time and I brought the knight a little bit closer. So now knight is on g6. So knight can now also join the attack. And now I think he still was looking at this threat of f4. So he decided to remove and to remaneuver his knight. So he played knight to e2 here. And now I no longer have this threat to play f4, hitting the knight and then taking the pawn. But I did play this f4 anyway, attacking this. And it's not so easy. And now it's not so easy to defend. You can see that, I mean, all my pieces are having some attack purpose at the king. So yeah, it's very difficult to play correct moves here. So he played knight to d2. He wanted probably to remaneuver his knight, maybe to exchange some pieces. You know, if he manages to exchange few attackers, then maybe he will be fine, and so on. So I think he didn't blunder this pawn. I think he deliberately gave this pawn, thinking that he will be able to maybe grab some counter initiative, counter play, exchange few pieces, and so on. So anyway, here I took the pawn, and yeah, now it becomes very unpleasant to him. He cannot take back because the pawn is pinned, and this is the threat. So it's not a pleasant thing to have if you are white here. So he stepped away with the king. Now this pawn is no longer pinned, so I need to retract my bishop. One option is bishop f5, which I was considering, but at the end I decided to bring the bishop all the way to c8 because now it can come behind the queen and you know, generate more threats. This was my idea. And now it's his turn. But okay, before I tell you the move, you can see, I mean, how my position is more pleasant. Not only that I'm a pawn up, but look at his pieces. His queen has no legal moves. His rook, his other rook, no legal moves. His bishop, no legal moves. So he has 4 pieces on the back rank, and neither of these pieces cannot move. And he has 2 knights on the second rank, and all his pieces are cramped. So I mean, to have this position is it's really an art to lose from this position, but I managed to do so. So my first mistake, I mean, a little blunder because it didn't lose the game, but yeah. So he played bishop to b3 check. And now let's come back to my thinking algorithm. So every time before you move the piece, you have to ask yourself what weaknesses does the move create, or what job did the piece have before I moved it. So in this position I can move my king on h8 or on f8. So what are the consequences? If I move it on h8, then what weakness do I leave behind? Well, these 2 squares are no longer controlled by the king. So the next question would be, can he exploit the fact that I leave these 2 squares behind? And in fact he can, and he did. So I didn't make this blunder check. So I just quickly played king to h8, thinking, okay, my king is in the corner, it's safe. And then he just played bishop to f7, you know, hitting my undefended knight and the rook. So here I lost the exchange, and I was like, oh, yeah, this shouldn't happen. But I wasn't. I mean, I was still winning. And if you look at the engine valuation, the engine doesn't even blink to this losing the exchange, because my attack and my piece activity is so massive that it really doesn't matter. So I was like, oh yeah, little bit unpleasant, but it doesn't really matter. I will just continue my attack, and I should still be better. And this valuation was correct. So I moved my knight here. So now I'm making some threats along these lines. He took the rook. Okay, he now won the exchange, but I'm still winning the game. So now, yeah, this is threat, and this bishop can come behind and make this threat really serious. So he played f3 to close this diagonal. And now I started marching with my pawns. So I played g5, intending to play g4, opening these files, and then I can bring my rook behind, and this bishop, and there is no way he can survive this. So here he still wanted to exchange some attackers, some pieces, so he played this knight to e4, which is not so good move. Also notice that yeah, I have this check here, which I didn't play right away because I thought, okay, he can just block it by his pawn. But after he played this knight to e4, I took the knight, and now he cannot take with this because yeah, it will just make my job easier of pawn storm, so he needs to block my pawns, so he has to take with the d pawn, and now I can deliver check, and I did, and he cannot block this check so easily. So he stepped away with his king, and here I played queen to g6, with the goal of putting the queen maybe on h5, threatening discovered check, or maybe just to push, to push the pawn, to double here, and I mean, this is, I have plenty of possibilities, and the engine evaluation of this position is like -5 or -6, so completely winning. Well, he's still fighting for the initiative, so he played king to d5, hitting my undefended bishop, and here I thought about two moves. First move was just to retreat the bishop to safety, and then continue my game, or to play this queen to h4. Queen to h5 immediately. So I decided on this move, queen to h5, and I was thinking, okay, he's gone now. If he takes the bishop, this is checkmate. So nothing to do here. If he, what else can he do? I was thinking. So if he play like g3, okay, again I can just take this with a check, king g2, and then bishop to h3. I thought winning the queen, but in fact this is a checkmate. After he moves, I win the queen with the checkmate. I didn't see that this was a checkmate, but I calculate only so far, and I thought, okay, this is winning the queen. It's fine. I don't have to calculate anymore. So this was one option I saw. What else did I see? Okay, he could try to to attack my queen. So what else did I see? He cannot defend with his knight because he will just lose the knight. If he wants to attack my queen. If he plays any other moves, I mean, this is checkmate, whatever he does. So in this position, I was thinking about all this, and I thought, okay, great. Now, queen h5, and its mate are either in 1, 2, or 3 moves. And I did play queen to h5, and I got up the board, and I was like, oh, okay, it's over. It was already 3 hours long, maybe even more, maybe 3.5 hours. And I was like, okay. And I was just walking around and waiting for him, to wave and to resign the game. And he was thinking for a long time here, and I was like, I began to be a little bit worried. Why is he thinking so much? And then I thought, yeah, he's just desperate. He's looking, for all possible legal moves. How can he stop this? So, okay. I was walking around, but I was near because I was expecting that he will wave and just, shake the hand and resign. And then I was, maybe on the other side of the hall, and I saw him move the piece. And I was like, oh, okay, great, now I'll just give mate in 2. And I came back to the board, and I saw that he played g4. And now I'm over. So this position is -6, and now this is suddenly +4, so I'm gone. So he is attacking my queen. I have to move away my queen. If I do any kind of discard check, he'll just take my queen, and after I move my queen, I'm losing the bishop. So I'm already exchanged down, and now will be he'll take my piece, and I will be a full rook down. So just full rook down, and it's a terrible situation. So just to take the lesson from this, how could this be avoided? Well, again, following my algorithm, thinking algorithm, which I spoke a few videos ago. So every time you want to move a piece, you should ask yourself, first question is, can my piece be captured or harassed? So if I wanted to move queen to h5, I should ask myself first this question, these two questions, but it's basically one question. Can my piece be captured? No. Can my piece be harassed? Can he attack my piece? And then I should see, okay, he can attack it by the knight. It's not a problem because I can take. But there is also another way in which he can attack, and this is by playing g4. And if I saw this, I wouldn't naturally play queen to h5. I would just play bishop to b6 and I mean, go on and win the game probably. Okay, but I did play this, and he did play this, and yeah, now the best chance I had was just to give up this bishop for for 2 pawns, and okay, hope that somehow I could maybe create some kind of perpetual check. But I didn't do this. I was completely demoralized. So I took this en passant. He took the pawn, hitting my queen. I had to bring my queen back, and I'm now just losing a bishop. So yeah, the game continued. I took the pawn, so now I'm playing with full rook down, and I mean, I do have some chances. Maybe I have this connected passed pawns. My pieces are active, so maybe I have some chance. But I was completely demoralized. I mean, this was now a very bad situation for me. So he played the rook to e3 here. I went on playing g4, so my knight, at least my knight has the outpost, and it's nicely placed. And now he decided to simplify the game in one risky fashion. So he saw that this knight cannot be chased away. It's supported by the pawn. This pawn is coming. So he saw some danger here. My knight very well placed, my connected passed pawns. So he wanted to end this up, and he just took. He gave the exchange. I mean, he's still a piece up, but now my pawns are disconnected, and I don't have this. This is the strongest piece in the board. And usually there is a saying that the knight on the 6th rank, from my perspective, so knight on the 6th rank, which has an outpost, is as strong as a rook. So this is usual formula. So this knight theoretically is strong as a rook. So yeah, he exchanged this. And now he just simplified the game, so rook to c6. I mean, yeah, threatening this pawn and basically forcing me to exchange rooks, so we exchanged rooks. Okay, bishop to e3 now, bishop to c4, attacking the queen, queen to f2, bishop to e6. Now I'm trying to keep my pieces active as I can. King to g1. Now he's activating his king. I try to push my passed pawn. He played queen to h2 here, and I mean there are still some interesting opportunities here. You can see that my pawn is far away. I have the bishop which can assist this pawn. I have this passed pawn. So I mean there are some chances here. It's not completely lost. If he makes a mistake, if he gives me something, maybe there is something I can work on. So I played h5, and yeah, he now played queen to h2, hitting my pawn. But now I played bishop to g4. Now I'm protecting both of these pawns, and maybe this could be a threat one day. So he played queen to d2, and now I made the final mistake. I mean, still maybe here I could hold the position for a while, but after the next move, which was complete blunder, it's just, I mean, my chances were gone. So I played h4, thinking that I'm attacking the knight, but again, I didn't check for the tactical opportunities, so always check for your opponent's best move, starting with checks, captures, and threats. This is something you should do always. So he has this very nice check here, and after I move the king, he just takes this pawn. So I miss this double attack. Now he's hitting my bishop, so queen g4, and now he's just, one check, I go here, and he takes another pawn. So he didn't even bother to, to force the queen exchange like this, because now, I would have to exchange queens. But he was, calm enough to see, okay, I can exchange queens, but before that I can pick up this pawn. So queen to e7 check, I blocked, and now he took the pawn. I went to g8, and only now he decided he will force the exchange of queens, and yeah. So now he's a full piece up. So what is my strategy now? I still can hope for a draw if I manage to exchange pawns. So if I would exchange, for example, these two pawns for these two pawns, then I can sacrifice my bishop for this pawn, and he will end up with knight and bishop. And then he has to give me a checkmate with knight and bishop within 15 moves, which is not easy thing to do. So I don't know if he knows this or not. I mean, if he trained this in particular, then he knows how to do this. If he didn't train this, or if he saw this only once or twice, there are good chances that he will not be able to checkmate me within 15 moves with a knight and bishop. It's a very difficult thing to do. So this was my last chance to draw this game. So he played. And this is why you see the game lasted so long, because yeah, I played to the bitter end. So it was now, the game was like 4 hours, and everybody were around the board watching at their clocks and our games. They were in the hurry for this game to end so that they can get their prizes and go home. So okay, I moved up the king, bishop f4, c5. So my goal is to exchange these pawns, but I mean it's impossible unless he makes a mistake. So now he's remaneuvering his knight, king here, knight to h2, hitting my bishop, bishop to h5, and now knight takes pawn. So very nice maneuver, just knight, and now he's picking my pawn. So this is what happened. Okay. And now bishop to e8. I'm trying to make my bishop as most active as it can be. King to e3, king to d7. So I'm trying to bring my king on this side of the board in order. Now I'm hoping that my king will somehow assist my pawns in order to exchange these pawns, and I will sacrifice my bishop for a pawn, and then the game would go on for 1 hour more. Okay, but he just played this very correctly. So bishop to g5. I try to go up, but he just stopped me by playing. But he'll very soon stop me. So king to f4, king to b6, king to e5. So he now wants to push this pawn. Bishop to f7, still trying to assist my pawns to get exchange, and now king to d6. So I play b4, c takes b4, c takes b4, and now bishop f6, just protecting this pawn. So I cannot hope for anything anymore, no exchange, so he's just pushing his pawns, trying something, he's just pushing. I go here, he plays now king here. I go my bishop, he steps away, and now he just 2 steps to promotion, and only at this moment I resign the game. Okay, and this was the end of the game and the end of the tournament. I said it already in the recap, and you saw in these games that many times I had winning positions, I had better positions, I had winning positions, +6, +9, +28, and well, I just lack this final touch, to convert these games. I always blunder. So it doesn't matter how good position I have. I just I mean it only takes one blunder to ruin everything. So my conclusion after this tournament is that I have to you know, religiously stick to this thinking algorithm which I have developed. I made a video about this. You can look it up. And this video was the result of my tournament. I recorded this video immediately after the tournament because I realized the importance of it. And if I only followed this simple algorithm for which I had enough time, so I was never in a time trouble, so I couldn't, you know, do blunder check because I had like 15 seconds on the clock. I never had time trouble in this tournament, but for some reason, from some mental laziness, I didn't follow it through, and this is why I lost all the winning positions I had. So I hope that I will learn this, and I will take these lessons, which were very expensive lessons. I have to say. I lost, like in the previous game which I drew against 1200, I lost 30 points. Now here I drew, and now this one I lost, so I lost 30 points here. So I lost like 60 points in just 2 games. It's crazy. And yeah, and it's also expensive in terms of money, because to go to the tournament and you know, to sleep in the apartment and to travel, it costs money. So it's expensive in literally and metaphorical sense. So I hope that I will learn my lesson and try to really apply my thinking algorithm and stop doing this kind of silly mistakes and start winning games. Okay, thanks for watching. Not just this video, but the whole series from Rad8. If you watched, I really hope and I think that these analysis could be instructive for you as well. So I encourage you to watch it again, or if you didn't, to watch it for the first time. So maybe you can also learn from my mistakes, so you don't have to make the same mistakes I did, but hopefully you can learn from my mistakes and improve your game. Thank you for watching. If you like the video, click the like button, subscribe to my channel, leave the comment below, and I'll see you soon with more chess. Cheers.